Hey all, and welcome back to another episode of Board Game Roulette, where in every episode I talk about a random game out of my collection. Today's episode is going to be all about a horse racing game called Long Shot. Okay, so a few stats for Long Shot. This is a horse racing game for 3 to 8 players, ages 10 and up, with an expected play time of about an hour. It was released in 2009. The game was designed by designer Chris Handy with art by Kareem Chikrum. It was published by several different companies. The one I have was published by Z-Man Games. On Board Game Geek, it currently holds a weight rating of 1.75 out of 5, indicating that most players find it to be fairly simple to play, and is currently ranked at number 1,325. So I gotta say that over time, I've seen a lot of horse racing games. The problem is most of them are very simple. Basically, what they usually give you is a board, a few horses, and then really just a random way to make the horses move to the finish line. It's either going to be rolling dice, or in some cases, it's going to be like a vibrating board of some sort. For example, my dad had a version that was made out of tin or metal or of some sort. It had kind of a slope, and it actually had a flywheel that you would pull a string that would create a vibration, and the horses would slowly move down. On all of these games, you just place bets on whatever horse you think is going to win. Some kind of randomizer gets the horse there, and that's the entire game. That's your horse race. Long Shot is a little bit different in that it gets the players involved a little bit more, and I'm going to take a few minutes here to give you a little bit of a better close-up and show you how the game works. Okay, so here we have a board set up for a new race. We've got 10 horses lined up at the start line, numbered 1 through 10. There's little stickers on each one indicating their number, along with a unique color for each one. We have our dice. Over on the left here, we have a card for each horse. And down towards the bottom here, I've kind of snuck in what you're going to get as a player. You start out with 3 action cards, which they call Long Shot cards, $25 in cash to start with, and a reroll token. Now, the way the game works is, as far as how the horses move, is pretty similar to other games I mentioned, where there is basically a dice roll. In this one here, we have a horse die, which is a 10-sided die and has each horse indicated on there. And then we have a movement die with movements numbered 0 to 3. And what you do is you take these dice, give them a roll. It'll indicate which horse is going to move. In this case, it's number 10. And how many spaces they're going to move. In this case, 1 space. So when we were to move a horse using that roll, we would simply take horse number 10 and move him 1 space like that, and that's the way the horse moves. Now, the way that a turn works in this is pretty simple. And one of the nice things about it is you can kind of see, not clearly, but up in the corner here, it actually lists everything that you can do on a turn. And at every turn you're going to do 4 things. The first one is that you're going to take a look at any horses you own and see if they have any special abilities that take place at the beginning of the turn. And what that is all of these horse cards that are on the left here, as a player, you have an option to buy that horse, and then each one of those horses has kind of a special ability. Just as a couple of examples here, horse number 1, Wonderbred. This one says that at the beginning of your turn, if this horse is in the lead by himself, you can draw an extra card. Horse number 2, Rex in Effect. If at the beginning of your turn, if this horse is in last place by himself, you may advance it to the nearest space with at least 1 horse. Horse number 3, Three's Company. At the beginning of your turn, if this horse shares a space with 3 or more other horses, collect $5 from the bank. Just as the first 3 examples, and every horse has one of those abilities on it. So the first thing you do at the beginning of your turn is, if you own any of those horses, you check and see if any of those actions kick in. Secondly, you roll both dice and move a horse just like the way I just showed you. And then another way that these cards come into play is that at the bottom of each card there are circles here indicating other horse numbers. And what that means is if you own this horse and you roll number 1 on your turn, if you also own one of these highlighted horses, that one moves too. So if you have number 1, you happen to roll a 1 and move that horse, and you also own horse number 4 moves the same number of spaces that horse number 1 moved. So it gives you kind of a little bit of an advantage there to owning horses, that if you own more than one, the more horses you own, the more likely more horses that you own are going to move on that turn as well. Now, one quick note regarding the movement die. I said it was 0 through 3. If you do roll a 0 on there, none of your horses move, but what that gets you is if the horse that you rolled comes up, say it's horse number 7, you get to steal a card from whoever owns that horse number 7. If nobody owns it yet, you get to take a card from the deck. Number 3, you get to take an action, which is either you can play one of your long shot cards, you can buy a horse that hasn't been purchased yet, or you can discard 2 cards in order to gain $5 from the bank. Now at the beginning, you're probably going to want to buy at least 1 horse, and then you're going to have to decide if you want to try to make money and then buy more horses to give you better chances, or if you're just going to spend your money on betting. One of the actions that you can do that I think I skipped there is you can bet on a horse. You can bet $5 per turn on 1 horse. And the way that you do a bet is you take a $5 bill, you take a token from the number of the horse that you want to bet on. For example, this would be for horse number 2, and you just place it on your money right in front of you on the table. Now what these cards do, that's another option that you have during your turn, is most of these give you some kind of ability that allows you to either gain money during your turn or to advance your horses. One of the things that's kind of nice about this game is there isn't a lot of what they call take that actions where you're hosing over another player. Most of them only advance your own horses. There aren't very many cards that actually kick other ones back. There's a few, but not a whole lot. Just as a few examples of what you can do here, small stable card, if you own at least 1 horse, collect $10. Roll a quarters card, just straight collect $10 from the bank. Let it ride, collect $10, then bet it all on a horse that's not in the no bets area. And the no bets area is just this orangish area over here. Just very simply, if a horse is there, which meaning it's almost at the finish line, you can no longer place any new bets on it. Let me grab a few more examples off the table here. Horse jockey for horse number 8. If you play this card, you advance horse number 8 1 space, and if you own that horse, you would get to advance it 2 spaces instead. Lucky number 6. If any player rolls number 6 on the horse die at the beginning of the turn, you can immediately play this card and collect $5. If you play this card on your turn, it does not count towards your action. And then on the money, announce a number from 1 to 10, roll the horse die, collect $25 if the number you declared is rolled. Otherwise, collect $5. So there's a little bit of another gambling card there. So there are a whole stack of these cards. Some of them advance horses, like I said. Some of them are gambling. Some of them get you money. Some of them will move horses forwards and backwards. And this is where really the heart of the game is. I mean, you've got your random rolls that move the horses, but what makes the game interesting is the player's abilities to circumvent those die rolls by using these action cards, either by gaining additional money to place more bets or buy more horses or move the horses around a little bit. This one last thing that you get as a player is you get a little token called a reroll token that can be used once per game, and it basically allows you to re-roll one die to, if it came up a way you didn't like it, you can re-roll that one die, and that's only used once per game. You use it once and it's gone. And that's really all there is to it. You keep rolling the dice, the horses keep moving forward. 8 moves 1, 4 moves 1, 4 moves 1 again, 9 moves 3, and so on. The dice keep rolling. You use your cards and to make adjustments. If you own horses, you move additional horses based on these circles down here, and you keep going until the horses get to the end of the race. They go completely around the circle. First horse is placed in the win zone, and as you expect, second place horse goes here, third place horse goes here, and then the game is over, and the winning is going to be based on whoever owns those horses and whoever has bets on them. The owner of the number 1 horse gets an extra $100. The owner of number 2 gets $75. The owner of number 3 gets $50. And then whoever placed bets on the winning horses get winnings based on these odds that are all down at the bottom of the card. This is first place, second place, and third place. This means that you get 6 times your winnings back, 4 times your winnings back, and 2 times your winnings back. Add them all together at the end of the game. You also count any cash that's on hand that you didn't spend, and whoever ends up with the most money at the end of the game wins the game. Now, before giving my own thoughts on a game, I usually like to take a few minutes and actually take a look at what other people think. And I take a look at the ratings on BoardGameGeek.com in order to do that. This game has about 2,000 ratings on it from other players, and the average rating is 6.7 out of 10, which honestly isn't too bad. I'd like to take a look at someone who had really positive comments, and then someone who had comments on the other side that didn't really like the game at all, and take a look at what their comments were. On this one here, we do have a 10 out of 10 that was placed by user Sasha Vukovic. This one states, bar none, the best party-style board game I've ever played. It's endlessly replayable and an excellent staple in my collection. The theme to mechanics ratio is also off the chain. Very immersive for all to play. But then, on the other side of the coin, we have someone who rated it 1 out of 10. They didn't like it at all. User Phoenix Geek states, last night 7 of us played Long Shot, and everybody but I seemed to really enjoy it. 2 people stated their intention to buy it. However, I hated it. It was a random, slow, overlong bore. Alright, so what did I think of this one? This is a game that I've gotten to the table a few times. I haven't played it a ton, but I've played it enough that I've gotten a good feel for it. I've played it both with family and I've played it with my game group. And I like this game quite a bit, actually. It's a theme that anybody can get into. It's not something that's confusing or something that's kind of off the wall. Everybody knows what horse racing is. It doesn't take a lot of explaining as far as what you're doing in the game, as far as the theme goes. And the mechanics really aren't that complicated either. You're just rolling dice to move horses, placing bets, and playing cards, and every card just says right on there what you need to do. It's kind of interesting in that the horses, it's really pretty random through a lot of the race. And then what I found is that as you get towards the end, the stress kind of starts adding on. Because you'll see that people at that point will start trying to manipulate the race in order to get the horses they bet on to win. Just as an example, on one of the games that I played to kind of give myself a refresher on how the game works before doing this video, I had a horse that was all the way back here, and I don't think the camera's set up to see it right now, but it's about the first quarter of the race, and we had horses that were back in here getting ready to win. And I almost was able to get this horse all the way over here just because I had collected enough cards specifically for that horse to make him move every turn and move with a pretty good pace. Admittedly, it didn't actually work. I didn't actually get him to the end. He didn't win anything, but it was kind of neck and neck towards the end there. Is a horse that we didn't seem to have any chance of winning whatsoever at the last minute kind of pulled through there. And that's kind of the kind of action that you see in this game a lot of times, is that because of how these work, it's kind of unsure what you want to do towards the early stages of the race. But as you get closer and closer to the end, people are picking up more horses, people are placing more bets. They're trying to decide if they want to keep piling money into one that looks like it's going to win, or if they want to spread out their money beyond or through more horses, just in case there's an upset and the one that looks like it's win doesn't actually come in at first or second place. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. I really like this game. I don't recall for sure. I believe I rated this one about an 8 out of 10, which for my ratings is pretty high. There are only a few games that I've rated higher than that, really. And really, it's not because it's a super complex game or a super deep game. It's just one that really, gets the fun out of people when you bring it to the table. I have never had anybody complain about this game, and I've played it a few times now with several different people. The only complaint I have about the game, as far as components goes, is I'm not sure how easy it is to see here, but each of these horses has got a sticker on here. It tells it the horse number and color, and the stickers on pretty much every horse is coming loose. And that isn't just because they've been around for a while. That's pretty much since they were new they've done that. It's a very common problem. It was so common that the game publisher actually included extra sticker sheets in the box, knowing that you're going to need to replace them. I've seen pictures on the internet of people who have taken these and actually painted them instead of using the stickers. If this was a game that I played all the time, I would probably go ahead and try to do that rather than using the stickers. But right now, the box doesn't come out enough for me to want to go through that kind of trouble. Otherwise, everything's really solid, nice, really nice quality game, nice miniatures that are built well, and it's a fun game to play. So, I'm going to go ahead and recommend this one. If you get a chance to play Long Shot, I would give it a try. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Board Game Roulette. I hope you join me next time when I pull out another random game from the collection. Thanks.